What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 271 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. This is the Hot Tags edition of the week where we're going to be breaking down some of the current events, rumors, news, interesting stories, and whatever the hell else we want to going on in the world of pro wrestling for the past couple of days. And the people that are going to be talking this episode are myself, as always, Tony Mango, your host, and joining me on the mic for this edition is Stephen Wago.
Wow, recording this on a Monday. Kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week for me. I got a whole bunch of shit I got to do. We got the Elimination Chamber predictions coming up. I got a bunch of articles I got to write. Been
Well, you
working
know
my
what?
ass off too, so I'm like, my energy level's pretty low. Knock it out Monday night. Why not, right?
And you know what? They get the gift of us early, so
Yeah.
it's just a nice thing. And I've got better mic quality. Turns out, last episode I was recording with a webcam microphone stuffed behind my monitor. Improvements, folks.
We almost started recording this without knowing that, so good thing that we tinkered around a little bit. So you get actual decent quality this episode. Although I'm sure if Sean were on, Sean's connection's always garbage anyway, and that would have lowered it. Next episode, if Sean's on that or whatever, you'll just see a significant drop and whatever. But we got a couple of things to talk about for this week. We actually have some odd stories, more than anything for the most part, I would say. Because this has been a rather slow week. And that's one of the reasons why I was actually okay with just doing it Monday night. Because I figure if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen after I record the hot tags anyway. That always happens, right? It's like, oh man, slow news week. And then in the middle of uploading it, it's like Seth Rollins injured for fucking life or something. I'm like,
Well, we'll just do a special segment when Vince McMahon dies this week.
yeah, it'll be a small package. Well, it'd be what? Jerry Lawler gets arrested and Chyna dies and Vince McMahon dies, and that'll be like the only ones. Oh no, wasn't there something with John Cena we did before? John Cena injured or something? Injuries and death. That's all a small package is, basically.
I remember when we was doing an actual podcast and like Roman Reigns got suspended live during it.
Yeah, that was like 20 minutes into the hot tags, that episode or something like that, wasn't it?
And he was like, "What? Really? No."
Well, after so many times where it's like, hey, oh man, new hot tag breaks, and it's like Sean saying something like Sheamus just died because he threw a toaster in the fucking bathtub. I never believe anything anymore. And then it's like, oh, Chyna died. Oh, Roman Reigns just got suspended. And it's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. All right, let me take my couple of seconds to Google whatever and play into the fucking gimmick. And haha, you got me. And oh, fuck it, it's actually happening. It's like... So who knows? We're recording this, 11:30? Monday Night Raw just ended. Which I think might as well start off with that a little bit. What do you think about Raw? I mean, this episode confirmed some things that kind of annoyed me about this road to WrestleMania, and we'll get to that in a little bit when I want to pose some questions to people. But I actually had a pretty low energy going into Raw tonight, and nothing really stood out to me as anything all that interesting. And by the end of it, I was just sort of like, well, that kind of sucks.
Well, I really liked the way they debuted Samoa Joe. The opening segment was kind of fun. He cut a decent promo. Roman Reigns came in and he's really getting his character down. He just acted like a badass, but they just kind of gave a really marquee match away already. Kind of seems dumb.
A little bit weird that they would do that on Raw, right?
The match itself was fine. They didn't give too much away in the match. Little frustrated that Roman Reigns couldn't just lose via distraction. He had to be sufficiently beaten down, come back through the match normally like he's going to come out on top, and then get distracted and lose.
It's Roman Reigns.
I know, but it's silly though. I mean, it's like, really? Come on. This is the shit we hated with John Cena. It's like,
Right.
People weren't mad that John Cena was on top. They were mad about how they were doing it.
Like I joked with you right afterward. I mean, this is how I'm imagining things will go down. He'll beat Strowman at Fastlane because it's more important for Roman Reigns to look strong than to keep Strowman looking strong. Then we'll get Undertaker losing at WrestleMania. We'll get Brock Lesnar beating Goldberg. The title won't be defended for like 8 months because Lesnar never really shows up. But it will be at like SummerSlam, and Roman Reigns will fucking beat him and win the Universal title. And it'll be like... all this was basically to give the title to Roman Reigns months from now, that kind of a thing. If that happens, you're not going to hear happy fucking Tony Mango over the next couple of months. And I know, like, by the way, with the whole thing the negativity and all that kind of stuff. We're busting balls a little bit here. And I appreciate the constructive criticism, Mike McCormick especially. I don't want to come off as a whiner because I try not to whine about things.
Stop your whining.
My issue is like it's the type of thing where if I'm happy about something, I want to try to bring as much happiness to it. If I'm negative about it, I want to try to not mince words and I want to complain. And yeah, I jump to the wrong conclusions sometimes, but I'd rather jump to the wrong conclusions, bitch and moan, and then be proven wrong and it turns out well, than to jump to the wrong conclusions in a positive way and then be proven wrong and it's negative. And then I lose all fucking hope. You know what I mean? Like,
but you also don't want to set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, that's another thing too. And I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've set myself up for disappointment. They've gone a completely different route and I've been like, oh shit, wow, I didn't see that coming. That's fucking awesome. Like, I really did not see Samoa Joe popping up for Seth Rollins.
Well, I hear this general observation of wrestling fans being all we do is bitch, 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 and complain. And there is a degree of that, and there are some people that are just going to complain for the sake of complaining. And you know what? We're all guilty of it, and we all have our... What I find is every individual fan has their little thing they like to do that about. Some people just flat out do it.
Yeah, there's a different approach. I mean, and there's fans, too, that no matter what happens, it's great because they just enjoy everything. But those are, happier people, I think.
But my larger point is that it's like, whilst there are people that just bitch for the sake of bitching, sometimes there generally are reasons. And when you've been set up for disappointment time and time and time and again, and you start to lose faith, sometimes you do become bitter towards a product, sometimes unnecessarily, not in a fair degree. Or sometimes you can come off a little more sinister than probably you want to sound, but it is what it is. If you get fed crap all the time, you're gonna, respond the same way. That's what it is.
And I kind of look at it as like, well, somebody in like our range, we're talking about this kind of stuff every week, and we repeat a lot of the same opinions a lot too. I mean, I write up fucking how many articles a week on stuff, and it gets to a point where after a while I'm going like, okay, here's another thing where I'm saying I think that John Cena is probably going to lose the title. And then I run out of ways to say it, then I get a little bit more frustrated with the way that I'm saying it, and that kind of a thing too. But I also sort of equate it to like when people go, well, then just don't watch anymore. I never liked the show Gotham, and I'm a huge Batman fan. Favorite comic book character of all time. Probably I would even say my favorite character in anything of all time. I'm going to go see that Lego Batman movie coming up soon. It looks like it's fucking funny as hell, even though it's like, real campy and stuff, but I'm really looking forward to that. Gotham is a TV show I've disliked from the start, and I watched 2.5 seasons of it, and you know what? I stopped watching it. And for a big Batman fan like me to stop watching it takes a lot, and eventually you get to the point where you stop watching it. So I don't ever want to get to the point where I stop watching wrestling again, but I am going to say it. I mean, this episode of Monday Night Raw kind of confirmed a couple of things that just look like they're going in the wrong direction for what I would enjoy, so I'm not going to be a ball of optimism farting out rainbows for the next couple of months if they go that route, but I'm really hoping I'm wrong. Like, I took the Jericho Owens thing tonight where they were talking about that's the real main event, you guys can be the undercard, as almost like a troll fuck you to the people that have been saying it like myself, as like, no, we're going to acknowledge that because fuck you, we don't want that to be the case. And I don't blame them for putting that out there, because if I were in their case and I thought what I was doing was right and people were bitching in the wrong way, I'd probably do something just to get under their skin too, because I'm a jerk, But one of the questions I want to pose for people for the road to WrestleMania 2017, would you rather have Owens Jericho for the Universal Championship or Goldberg Lesnar? Because I go into this looking at that as, I don't want Goldberg Lesnar for the Universal title for a couple different reasons. Number one, I don't think it necessarily needs it. Number two, I don't see the point in having to give Goldberg a world title run. He's already a fucking legend. And number three, either of those guys leaving WrestleMania as the champion means to me that we're not going to get the championship pop up every week. And I don't really like the idea of it not popping up until SummerSlam again.
You see, this is where me and you are going to actually disagree, because we totally disagree on the Brock Lesnar title reign.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't mind Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar being for the championship. One, it's a huge marquee match, and two, I've already said it. I'm into this storyline. I really dug Goldberg just winning out of nowhere. I think it kind of like if Brock Lesnar doesn't win it back, it's kind of gonna fuck him over. So I'm hoping he's definitely winning at WrestleMania.
I would
If he
imagine
does,
he would, right?
if he, I'll put it this way: if he doesn't win at WrestleMania and Goldberg just vacates the title and leaves, I will validate everybody's criticism of it. Flat out say that right now. But if Brock Lesnar wins the way he should to get his heat back and to go on and be that dominant badass champion that he was not too long ago in what I consider one of the more realistic title reigns where a prize fighter only fights the best at certain points of the year, then I'm totally fine with that. I like the story, and to be quite honest, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho isn't a world title match. Maybe on a B pay-per-view, but it's a US title match.
See, I was really hoping that we'd get, because I'm worried about Braun Strowman, the way that they're booking him lately, and I was kind of hoping that Sami Zayn would beat Jericho for the United States Championship, excuse me, and then we'd get Strowman and Sami Zayn kind of finishing their feud and a United States title match between those two, and then Owens Jericho for the Universal title, Goldberg Lesnar, they can have their match anyway. Because another thing that's sort of confusing me about this, Goldberg's beaten Lesnar, what, 4 times now? If you count the Royal Rumble? No, 3 times.
So no, he beat him at the initial WrestleMania. He
And then
beat him
Survivor
again at
Series.
Survivor Series. I guess he eliminated him in the Royal Rumble.
So that's 3 times, yeah.
And I mean,
Now,
you can. Yeah, no, it was Lesnar that tossed him out of the Rumble at that one. Yeah, that was an old one.
the 04, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's the same pay-per-view he wrestled Bob Holly.
It's man, Bob Holly getting a world title shot. It's just so weird. But that to me is almost like if Goldberg wins the Universal Championship, and he's already beaten Lesnar 3 times. What does Lesnar have to offer to the table to kind of justify that they're having another match like that? It seems almost like Lesnar should be the one winning the championship so he can fight Goldberg and go like, look, I want that other match. And Goldberg's like, dude, I already fucking beat you. And then he goes, but if you put the title on the line, then we're talking, Like that seems a little bit more logical to me.
Well, I thought the whole way this was going to go down was that Goldberg was going to win the Royal Rumble, Brock was going to pick up the title at the mid pay-per-view, and there was going to feud at WrestleMania. I always thought this was going to be the title match.
Even
It just
that, yeah.
it just went totally the opposite way round. So I think this is just their way of getting Randy Orton some momentum, who's kind of stalled, and they got their match anyway.
Now, since we are recording this Monday night, we don't know what they're going to change for Elimination Chamber tomorrow night on SmackDown, but I'm assuming they're not going to really change all that much. I mean, we already have the field set for all 3 of the titles. We all know, because the Intercontinental's not defended. And we know that it's basically going to be like Becky Lynch is going to be added with Mickie James and probably one other match or so. But this whole Elimination Chamber stuff we'll get into in a little bit. I don't want to focus that much on that for the questions that I'm posing for everybody, but the Jericho Owens and Goldberg Lesnar thing, I definitely want you guys to chip in the comments below. Tell me which of those 2 matches you'd rather see for the Universal Championship for whatever reasons. And, opinions like this, totally subjective. You can like one, you can like the other. You can think that neither of them should be for the Universal. Maybe you think Roman Reigns versus Undertaker should be, or Samoa Joe should walk in as the champion, whatever the case may be, whatever. Another question I have, though, we saw that this whole thing with Seth Rollins getting injured from Samoa Joe. We weren't able to talk about that on the last week's Hot Tags, but it's something that they addressed a little bit tonight, but not too much. Triple H versus Seth Rollins seems like it's a no-go for sure now. Who does Triple H fight at WrestleMania, and what do they do with Samoa Joe? You and I are on the same page with Triple H. We both want Shane McMahon.
It's not a matter of even wanting Shane McMahon. I just know that Triple H is not going to sit at WrestleMania.
Right.
If he's not going to sit at WrestleMania, he needs to wrestle Shane. The rumor going around is Shane versus AJ. I've not been watching SmackDown, so I don't know if they've laid any groundwork for that.
Not much, if anything. It's more so like every... maybe even not even every couple of weeks or so, maybe only like twice, AJ's kind of bitched a little bit on Talking Smack and been like, yeah, you don't really give me as much credit as I deserve. But anyway, the next thing I want to say is, and it's not like there's not much momentum to it. Not like the Daniel Bryan Miz stuff where it's real heated and people care.
I was always going to say, I always thought it would have made more sense to do Shane versus The Miz if you're not going to let Daniel Bryan wrestle, because Shane can defend Daniel Bryan's honor. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I just let Daniel Bryan wrestle one more match. I don't think it's going to hurt.
It's like, if they are able to get to a point where they can say it's not going to really hurt him all that much, then have him sign some fucking forms. He wants to wrestle it. Make it his retirement match. People will care, And
I really
just
think
tell him, don't ever fucking do it again after this one. Put it all out on line on that.
He's got many doctors saying that he's okay to go. And if that's the case, I say just give him a little farewell tour. Give him some opponents that he'd like. Give him The Miz. Give him his Nakamura match that he wants, and let him sail off into the sunset on his own terms. But that's getting off topic. So, but yeah, it's like, I don't want to see Shane versus AJ Styles at all. AJ is capable of much more. There's countless opponents that I'd like to see him wrestle, of which is Randy Orton. So yeah, Triple H versus Shane McMahon is probably just the best option, just to keep fucking Triple H from sapping up something else with another guy that I'd want to see.
And I kind of can't see them figuring out a way to move that into Samoa Joe versus Triple H, or Triple H versus like Braun Strowman or anything like that. Like, I don't know. Like,
but Joe's going to end up.
To go anywhere.
I think Joe's going to find himself in that Andre Battle Royal, and I think he's going to win it.
I'm about 50-50 for that, because Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and AJ Styles right now all seem like they're not really building them up to anything.
There's no way that AJ ends up in that match.
No, I think more than anything right now is probably going to be in that Intercontinental title ladder match.
I hope they don't do another ladder match. They need to do a singles match this year.
Oh, you know what's happening.
So fucking dumb. Why have Money in the Bank?
It's going to be, I'm putting it out there right now, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, Kalisto, Apollo Crews, and Baron Corbin. 6 people, 3 heels, 3 baby faces. That's what they do. They just throw them in like that. You get.
Oh, but they like 7 in those matches, Tommy.
They do like 7. Maybe the 7th one will be.
Do you hate that, by the way? Does it drive you nuts like it drives me nuts?
When they do 7 instead of 6?
Yeah, also the Fatal 5-Way, that drove me nuts too. I don't like that.
The Fatal 5-Way threw me off a little bit.
Fuck that shit.
The 7, I'm kind of okay with it. It sort of depends.
Well, the thing is, they only started doing 7 the year that Jeff Hardy got suspended.
Yeah.
So literally, that 7 rule exists because of Jeff Hardy getting suspended. Another reason Jeff can go fuck himself.
I'm assuming if they can think of a 7th one that they can put in there, like Kane or whatever, then they'll put.
Don't! It's so weird. It's pointless.
But then a lot of these people could just be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and that's where, like, Joe or Strowman, one of those two's winning that.
You think they'd just do AJ versus Dean Ambrose?
They might. I think Corbin's winning that, though. Unless they do something weird with, you know what? That's another thing, too, though, is if The Miz doesn't have his match against, well, the rumor going around right now is The Miz against John Cena. More than likely, it seems like that's probably going to happen, so that's probably not a factor. If The Miz doesn't have that, he'll probably be in the Intercontinental thing, but I'm assuming we'll get that mixed tag match, and I don't really care about that, but whatever. I'm curious what they do with Strowman and Joe, though, because only one of them could win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and now it looks like it could be either of them. Just pitching an idea out there. I don't think it'll happen, but if it were to happen, Strowman versus Joe, would you be interested?
No, because it means one of them's going to look weak, and I think both of those are characters that need to look constantly strong, other than when the babyface finally gets that one-up on them.
Plus, who would turn? It'd have to be Strowman at this point.
Maybe. People enjoy watching Joe beat people up, though.
I mean, they could just do it. I highly doubt that match is happening. So this is
never going to happen. Joe's gonna. I think Joe's just gonna win that battle royal. It's for Braun Strowman. I could see him being a heavy for someone.
Somebody like who would need it?
Shit, you could Triple H. If Triple H or Shane happens, guarantee Braun Strowman would come out there and wreck Shane for him.
If Triple H and Shane happens, I hope Triple H just wins. You know,
Flat. I hope he just fucking beats the shit out of him.
that'd be great. Just like a 15-minute segment where Shane McMahon's like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I'm not a fucking wrestler. That'd be awesome.
Well,
Oh
did you ever
man.
see his match street fight with Kane, where like he got offense in, but it was only by launching his body at him, and all the other times he was just getting his ass like just beat. It was great. Like that's the type of match he needs to be in.
That King of the Ring match with Angle too.
Yeah, where he just fucking drags him through the glass like fuck you.
And it's like, oh, that was fun. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Fucking just set up the glass panels again and have Triple H throw him through that. The other question I want to pose to people for this: what's your current excitement level heading into WrestleMania? Are you as excited as you were last week, last month, last year? Are you lowering your expectations? Are you getting more pumped? Whatever, because I want to get a good range of how everybody's feeling with this. I am personally, the more that they keep booking things, the less and less excited I'm getting. And I was looking forward to Rollins versus Triple H. That's out of the way now. I really wanted Strowman and Joe to get something good. It's looking less and less likely that that'll happen. I wanted Styles to be in a good, high-profile match. That's probably not going to happen. I don't know. And it's all these things are kind of working against me. So I want to know if I'm a minority, if I'm kind of in the middle ground, if I'm a majority, that kind of a thing. Let me know. You could agree, you can disagree with it, whatever the case may be. Just curious. But we have some other hot tags to talk about. So let's get into story things. Rock and Roll Express was announced tonight. They're going to be inducted into the class of 2017 Hall of Fame. We've got it's Ricky Morton and Robert. What was the guy's name? Robert what?
Eaton.
Gibson.
Eden, whatever, one of them.
Uh,
I'm just like old name wrestling, 80s. No one cares.
It makes sense to me that they go in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not a big fan of them. I would never really follow like the AWA, NWA, that kind of stuff. I've never been into the older wrestling stuff, so to me they're just kind of like, what's that? The Legacy Award, I think that they call it now. Where it's like, here's all the old guys that weren't really too much in WWE. It's like, yeah, cool. They were big names and stuff like that. I don't have any personal connection to them though.
I always, you know what? I was mixing them up with the fucking Midnight Express.
Yeah, Bobby Eaton and
Dennis Condrey.
I don't remember one half of these tag teams. I'm like Ricky Morton and Bobby Eaton and the two other guys, and the Marty Jannettis. Thoughts on the Rock and Roll Express, though? Are kind of happy about them being in the Hall of Fame? Don't really care.
I mean, it's just not my time, dude. So I can't like say I'm against it. I know for the people that watched, I think they were in Mid South. They're big fans of them. That's a question like better asked to the professional wrestling. What is it? Professional wrestling historic. I can't say it. Fuck.
Historical Society.
Yeah, Professional Wrestling Historical Society. They've got
Old
a real good
farts,
group.
just say it.
Yeah, old farts. They've got the better knowledge on that type of thing.
Yeah, a lot of people appreciate that old stuff a lot more than I would, and I'm sure that they're kind of having a lot of fun with those kind of announcements. But it's sort of the same as if you're like, Danny Hodge is one of the best ever, and Ken Patera and all that. Just, it's lost on me. The furthest back that I go that I get really any kind of entertainment value is like 91.
Honestly,
actually, no, like 80s. I'll go 80s because there's the old WrestleMania stuff.
I'll find the odd 80s match that I like, but for the most part, for the professional wrestling I have to go into the 90s.
Right. Because that's when I grew up with it. And, when you grow up with things, that's where your nostalgia factor comes in.
Well, there's also, here's the thing, people don't like to hear this, but the 80s style of wrestling was fucking sloppy. It was dog shit for the most part. You'd get one or two guys that could actually have some finesse, tell a story, and make up for the fact that they're about as athletic as a fucking, I don't know, Brian the Brain.
Shout out to Brian the Brain there. Kind of a negative shout out, but still.
No, it's the only fucking thing I can think of wrestling related that's non-athletic. I'm just taking this whole even further. But it's just the reality of things. It's wrestling got better in the 90s, and I think you had that great hybrid of athleticism and storytelling before they just throw all that out and created Ring of Honor.
What are you talking about?
I'm making a lot of enemies tonight.
Ring of Honor is the best wrestling program ever.
I'm sorry, but spot fests are not wrestling.
Everybody knows Chris Jericho would have a better match with Kevin Steen. No, that's why I liked Savage back in the day instead of Hogan as much. I mean, I liked Hogan, but I always liked Savage a little bit more, and Savage was like the more entertaining of the two. And
He could actually go in the ring, and he wasn't just totally hokey bullshit. He was a good mix of
yeah,
both.
a lot of those big burly guys fighting people, and it's like, oh, he hit him with the axe handle. That's the big move of the night, like that kind of thing. It's just not my thing. Rock and Roll Express, they were a little bit more energetic, so I can see why they were popular. But even when they were talking about like the Freebirds and stuff, it's like, yeah, I can, as somebody who studies wrestling, at least to a certain extent, I can appreciate the Freebirds were a big, big thing back in the day, but there's no personal connection for me.
Actually, what I will say about this, the one thing I do know about this tag team, both Expresses, at least from what I've heard, is that they're both great in ring workers, and that seems to be a big thing with tag team wrestling in the 80s.
Yeah.
The work rate seemed to be a lot better in tag team wrestling than it did in singles wrestling.
Even the ones like the Road Warriors, which weren't as like flippy and stuff, they were still like more entertaining to watch.
Well, I've
Than a
watched
lot
a
of those
few
guys.
matches with the Youngbloods, and they were always fun. I really keep my NWA shit limited. It just doesn't
Yeah.
appeal to me. But the tag wrestling, in fairness, don't for the most part deliver.
There's also like a disconnect if you're in a different area. Like I'm, New Jersey area. So to me, when they do like Mid-South and it's that whole like wrestling kind of stuff, I kind of tune out a little bit too on that. I don't like country stuff. I don't, when it's like cowboy, whatever,
Fuck
cowboy
me,
no odds,
don't
cowboy,
go don't go back and watch old 80s fucking British wrestling. It's like a different sport.
What's that like? Is that like kind of
Dude,
country-esque?
there's rounds.
Huh.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to check it out, but I probably wouldn't like it.
it's fucking terrible. Anyone that says, "Oh, well, the sport was great," fuck you. You know it wasn't. You were shitting your shit.
They haven't done anything with this UK thing. Speaking of that,
UK tournament.
Tyler Bate popped up on the tapings for NXT recently. And I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're really moving that much traction for getting its own TV show.
I don't think it's going to do much. There's a video package for Progress Wrestling with Trent, Pete Dunne, and Tyler Bate, and if they actually brought them in as a heel faction with those characters, see if you like. It's probably the first thing that's going to pop up on YouTube if you search it. Check it out. I think they could actually be a decent faction in NXT right now. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I'm glad they brought Tyler Bate up. He's only, 18, so he's got all the time in the world.
19, I think. But it's like, shit, 19-year-old and he's that fucking good already?
And he's that jacked. I know he's not much to him, but he's fucking in good shape, right?
That kid's gonna go, I hate that I can say that kid. Oh my god. Fucking 10 years older than him. This blows. Am I old enough that I can refer to people as son and it's not demeaning?
As long as they're white.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. You brought up Progress. This is something that you mentioned to me. I didn't know about this, but we were trying to fish for some hot tags. Progress Chapter 44. Give us a little backstory on what's happening with this.
All right, so a while ago on the Jim Cornette podcast, I forgot what it's called, but it's on MLW Radio Network. But the gist of his podcast is, I'm a liberal, fuck Trump, fuck independent wrestling, I'm a liberal. That's pretty much his podcast right now. And at some point, he saw the ring announcer for Progress Wrestling, and he said, if the Progress Wrestling ring announcer, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what he said, if he came to my show dressed up like that, I would have hung him.
If he came to my show like that, I would have hung him.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. So in between strangling a Dairy Queen employee, he
Santino and
he had a back and forth with the Progress Wrestling promoter on Twitter, who said he was deplorable for saying something along those lines, and pretty much everything that comes out of Jim Cornette's mouth is deplorable, but it's why I actually love listening to him. Fucking hilarious. Well, they responded by naming their pay-per-view Progress Wrestling Chapter, I think, 44.
44.
Old man yells at cloud in reference to The Simpsons.
That is amazing. I want to check this event out just purely for the fact that they referenced The Simpsons on it.
And they even had a little graphic up, but I don't know where it is right now. It's probably on their YouTube, or if not on their YouTube, on their Facebook or something.
Is
But
it the
hats off,
actual thing of Abe with the newspaper?
yeah, they've cropped in Cornet and everything.
It'd be great if they just started naming other things that were like Simpsons related. Just like chapter 45 is like who shot Mr. Burns. Chapter 46 is a really ripping lentil soup. Just stupid ass shit like that would be amazing.
Progress 50, steamed hams.
They just even take it to the furthest level. Chapter 50, Aurora Borealis located entirely in here, and they do the whole fucking speech.
Can I see it?
No. Then the next event, chapter 51, is never mind. It was just the Northern Lights. 22 Short Stories in Springfield is one of my 5 favorite episodes of all time. That is so fucking good. I love that. Do they have Krusty's partially gelatinated non-dairy gum-based beverages? Yeah, they call them shakes. Shakes. You don't know what you're getting. I should do a Simpsons fucking podcast. That would be great. Let's talk about another thing, though. Hideo Itami's been cleared to return to the ring, according to Dave Meltzer. There's been some speculation about that for a little while. Itami put up a tweet a couple weeks ago saying, "I'm ready," which made people think that maybe he was going to be in the Royal Rumble. Nope. Not number 30. It was Roman Reigns. And I am assuming that he's going to be built to something for Orlando, but he didn't show up for the tapings. So they could either fast track something. Maybe he's going to fight like Elias Sampson or whoever who doesn't have really anything left to do. Or maybe they just wait until after Orlando when he comes back, because there's still a couple other people that haven't been booked for that card yet. But I'm glad he's returning.
You know where he needs to go?
Fucking main roster.
205 Live.
Is he under 205?
If they told you he would you believe it?
I mean, I wouldn't really care.
So
one of those things where
does it matter? So does it matter? Just stick him on 205 Live. They need the stars. They have.
He is 182.
There you go. They've got 4 guys that actually get a fucking reaction. They've got Neville, TJ Perkins, who gets a reaction depending on the fucking arena, Cedric Alexander, depending on the arena, and Rich Swann, and that reaction is a groan.
Jack Gallagher's been getting a pretty decent
Oh, you know what?
reaction.
That's not fair. Yeah, Jack Gallagher's getting one.
I fucking... at the very least, when Noam Dar comes out, I get all giddy because I want him to just say Alicia Fox again.
I fucking hate that guy.
Oh, it's so fucking great. Alicia Fox. It's the best fucking thing of this year so far. I might end up being my favorite catchphrase of the year just because of the way he pronounces that. Fox. He always seems like he's like somebody just punched him in the gut when he's saying it. I'd be cool with Hideo Itami going to 205 Live. Why not? You know? They could use more people. And if he gets injured, it's fucking 205 Live. Who cares?
Well, you know what? There's no excuses if he gets injured on the main roster now. You're working with the legit top guys. Either do your part or just go away.
It would be his, 3rd, 4th injury, I think?
Yeah, at this point, just stop trying to develop him. He's not going to develop into anything. Just use what you got and see if you can stick.
Yeah.
Sink or swim now at this point. He's had long enough.
If he doesn't know by now how to wrestle a decent enough style by being in NXT for the little bit that he's been in there and being in the independents and New Japan and all over the other place like that, if he doesn't know what he's doing by now, then fucking fire him. You know what I mean? Like, put him up to the main roster. Let's see what he's got. If it doesn't work out, get rid of him eventually anyway, or demote him back down to NXT. Nothing says you can't put somebody back down to NXT again. It just seems like that's like unheard of.
I don't know what to do with this guy anymore. I mean, you don't even need him in terms of Japanese talent. You've got Akira Tozawa, you've got Asuka, you've got Shinsuke Nakamura, which is a much, much bigger deal. And you know what, to be quite honest? You've got 2 bigger Japanese stars, and they're both American. They're called Finn Balor and AJ Styles.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah. I say just go ahead, do it, put him up to the main roster and such, but I'm assuming he's going to stick around NXT because how often do they really do that, you know? And if they bring him in NXT, maybe he fights Katsius Ohno, maybe he fights I don't know, Roderick Strong, Andrade Cien Almas. I can't remember who he was feuding with before all this kind of injury stuff happened, but I think it was just the tag title tournament, right? Or Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, I mean. I
I
think it
don't
was
know.
him and Kota Ibushi together.
Bunch of fucking indie guys.
What else we have here? Michael Jackson calls out CM Punk. Give us a breakdown of that.
All right, so for people who heard the name Michael Jackson, no, I do not mean. Well, what I'm talking about
Be a
is the
hell of a lot
guy
more
that.
interesting, wouldn't it?
It'd be great if CM Punk got his ass kicked by the resurrecting Michael Jackson.
Pay-per-view buy rates through the fucking roof.
Take that, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. But yeah, so Michael Jackson was the guy that Mickey Gall had to beat up to get the fight with CM Punk, who apparently has called CM Punk out. CM Punk is currently trying like mad to get a fight with the UFC, who are not really interested in his less than stellar performance. So it's going to be interesting. Are they going to squeeze out one more semi-interesting pay-per-view buy, and he gets a win against a guy that's not as good? Because to be quite honest, Mickey Gall turned out to be a lot better than we realized. He beat one of their biggest prospects on the UFC now. So it seems that Punk's loss isn't as embarrassing as people thought.
For UFC, at least.
Mm-hmm. So there might be a way of basically going, well, he lost, but he lost to a really talented guy. Let's see how he does with somebody a little closer to his skill.
I would imagine if they could get him cheap enough, do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, there's more money to make from CM Punk if they don't have to spend too much money to waste on him.
Here's the thing. If they get rid of him, Bellator will pick him up.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, he's a name. Like,
dude, they fucking hired Ken Shamrock back at 50-something years old. They brought Kimbo and Dada 5000, who were backyard brawlers, and stuck him in the main fucking event. They don't care. If you're willing to fight, they'll do it. They're partners with Ryzen, a fucking Japanese promotion that just had a gigantic woman beat up a 50-year-old pro wrestler.
this sounds kind of amazing.
I'll show you. It's fucking. She even tried like hitting the ropes, and she just beat the fuck out of this poor woman. It's like Gabby Garcia. If anyone's interested, look it up. Gabby Garcia versus Japanese wrestler. It's fucking brutal. Where was I going with this? Fucking CM Punk, Michael Jackson. I think it might be a winnable fight for him, but it's kind of a toss-up.
Does this Michael Jackson guy at least come out to Michael Jackson music, like Thriller or something?
I don't remember him doing so, but he's also an MMA journalist. So if he loses, he gets his ass
He's going to
kicked
write
by-
up a report about him being better.
Well,
according to journalist me, I won that match.
I'm going to kick your ass, and then I'm going to get hits on it.
He conducts an interview with himself afterward. Hey, me, what did you think when you were going into that? That's a good question, me. There's a pay-per-view this weekend, isn't it?
Don't know.
UFC?
Oh, yeah, UFC 208. So this is one of the most forgettable pay-per-views coming up in the world. They decided to make a 145-pound division, and the woman that they wanted to surround it with got popped for steroids like everyone thought she was going to.
Sucks.
Yeah, UFC's kind of in the shitter right now. Fun.
It's going to be the WrestleMania 11 of their things, right?
They've had a few stinkers.
We've got a couple other things to talk about here tonight. This one we can kind of skip by pretty quickly, though. It's something that we are not really all that into. It's Chinese talent has been brought into WWE. They've signed a couple more people. I am probably going to botch the hell out of these names, so I apologize. But Gao Li, Gu Guangming, Cheng Yung Yuxiang,
Some Ting Wong.
Jesus Christ. Wang Xiaolong, Zhao Zhai, Yaifeng, and Big Boa. That one's easy.
It's just like a bigger version of fucking Bo Dallas, but Chinese.
It'd be great if he gets paired with a little midget named Small Boa. So these people have been brought into the mix. They are going to be training at the Performance Center pretty soon, and it's a possibility that they're brought in for that Asia Championship that we've been hearing about. The Asia title is supposed to be something that can kind of piggyback off the United Kingdom title. But if the United Kingdom title doesn't really go anywhere, maybe they won't actually go with an Asian champion and what was it, like, it wasn't a Middle Eastern one. What was the other one that they were rumoring about? Like New Zealand champion or something like that.
I don't fucking know. I just work here.
Either way, it looks like they're interested in really trying to tap into that Chinese market. And we know that John Cena's been making a big play for that over the past couple of years. They got Jian Bing that they brought into the mix not that long ago, and they actually had him wrestle as part of that Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and stuff. I think it's a good idea if they've got the talent for it. I don't know anything about these guys, though. I'm assuming you don't know anything about them either, right?
Oh
Other than
no,
Big Bo is kind of big, I guess.
oh no, I was just making the jokes that I thought hilarious during the plane crash.
The what?
So you never saw that story? That's why I said the Some Tim Wong thing. There was a big fucking
I
plane
thought it was
crash.
just general.
No, there was a big plane crash. Where I was over the Chinese victims. Somehow I've actually told this story before today in reference to something else, but and they were reading off like the pilot's name or the aircraft name or the victims' names, and it was like they'd been given false names on the news broadcast. So they were reading off like something Wong and holy fuck.
And nobody paid attention to that.
No one caught it.
Oh, Jesus Christ! That's like the Phil McCrevis and Harry Balzania type of stuff.
Yeah, it was Captain something Wong, Woo too low, holy fuck, and bangding ow.
This world is so fucked.
Oh, we just triggered a bunch of snowflakes.
If you are snowflakes and you want to buy one of my 2 special snowflake award designs or the Team Up link, go ahead and buy them. Let everybody else know that you're special. Is that it for those normal hot tags? Yeah, that is. So the last thing that I want to talk about for this one is an update on the Smark Madness Tournament. The qualifying round is going to be starting pretty soon. I want to do something that can kind of knock that out. Actually, we're kind of in a qualifying round as it is right now because I want to narrow it down to the 32. And if we have any kind of weird carryovers, that's when we're going to do like an official qualifying round. But we have a lot of the 32 candidates already picked, and we're down to what's looking like maybe there's like 3 more spots left. So I'm going to give a quick rundown right now of what we're looking at and a quick rundown of some of the other ones that have been suggested so far, and I want people to let me know what out of those options we should add. I know for a fact what we have for the 29 that have been chosen by other people so far are the RKO or the Diamond Cutter, Sweet Chin Music, Super Kick in general, Stone Cold Stunner, the Power Bomb, the Tombstone, Walls of Jericho, Sharpshooter, Choke Slam, Figure 4, Pedigree, Spear, DDT, Shooting Star Press, Ankle Lock, Mandible Claw is a new addition, Attitude Adjustment, F5, Styles Clash, Brogue Kick, Rock Bottom, Elbow Drop, End of Days actually has been getting a lot of attention, 619, even though I am completely against it, but enough people are voted for it, so why not? Sister Abigail, the People's Elbow, Hulk Hogan's Leg Drop, the Jackhammer, the Swanton Bomb, the... Did I say People's Elbow and Skull Crushing Finale?
You said a lot of things. And I think we need to disqualify the 619. That's a setup move, not a finisher.
Oh, enough people have put it in there. So at the very least, it'll get knocked out in the first round probably. But we have a couple more options that could get that one of those 3 last spots left. And these so far are the ones that they're kind of narrowed it down to. The Perfect Plex, which to me, I'd be okay with that being in the list. The Red Arrow, kind of cool. I would kind of say no. The Code Breaker, I like it quite a bit. A little bit underwhelming. The Clothesline from Hell. The Crossroads, which I think is more than likely not going to make it. Not many people are getting behind that one. The GTS. The STF. The Torture Rack. The Sleeper Hold. Camel Clutch. Trouble in Paradise. Crippler Crossface. The Cobra Clutch or the $1 Million Dream, same thing. The Crossface Chicken Wing or the Backstabber. So I'm going to copy and paste this for you right now, Wego. I want to get your opinions. What do you think could be some other 3 options out of there? What would you kind of go for? Because worst case scenario, I'll just go with your choices. Why not? I personally would probably say the three that I'd like to see get into there are the Perfect Plex, the Frog Splash, and maybe
The Frog Splash is too iconic not to go in.
I would say the third one would be the Crossface Chicken Wing.
The Frog Splash has been shown off by Eddie Guerrero, Rob Van Dam. It's been used by Seth Rollins now, Kevin Owens. It's been around forever, and there's been variations throughout wrestling. You kind of can't have it in there. It's one of the best.
It would make sense to me.
Backstabber, I'm not a big fan of, and it's become pretty much a setup move and a secondary move, so that's lost all esteem. The Sleeper Hold, it got over a little bit for Dolph Ziggler, but people aren't impressed by it.
It's a different era.
Yeah, it's totally dead era too.
That's the same thing with the Cobra Clutch to me. It's lost itself.
Honestly, the Clothesline from Hell I put in there because that's pretty much what a lariat is. And I think the lariat's one of the most oldest and brutal finishes, depending on who's doing it.
I think if we do have that in there, it needs to be specified with a little asterisk that says, but it has to be where JR is calling it, and he can go, ah, afterward, because he used to sell that so much. Royal Rumble 2002, I think, is one where not JBL, well, wasn't JBL at the time, but still the same guy. Bradshaw just levels somebody. It's like Lance Storm or something, and JR acts like he just shot him in the face. It's
to be fair, though, when JBL hits people, you hear the slap off. It was brutal. And the last one I'd have to put in is the Red Arrow, just because out of all of those finishers, what is the most unique and beautiful looking one? The Red Arrow.
That probably is the most unique. I always liked the torture rack at least a little bit. I always thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but it can also be used as a fucking mid-match move, like Brock Lesnar using it just to torture guys before he finished them back in the day.
It is a torture rack. Yeah, I like those options. I would say I really hope that it's not out of those couple. I don't think that Sleeper Hold makes a whole lot of sense. I don't think that the Go to Sleep is good enough. I would rule against the Cobra Clutch and the Trouble in Paradise because, the Glow to Sleep. That should be Naomi's finisher, right?
Hey,
feel the Glow to Sleep.
Fucking Hideo Itami ain't using that move because he's always injured. She could use it.
Yeah, that's true. So for your comments below this week, everybody, let me know those questions about the WrestleMania thing, what your opinions are with that. Let me know what your couple of other suggestions are for the tournament, because eventually we got to start doing the tournament. So sooner that we get our list of the 32, the sooner I'll make up the templates to figure that all out. I'll do the randomization and I'll post the bracket up on the Mega Maniacs for everybody to see ahead of time, and they can start getting into their ideas of debating back and forth and all that. The tournament probably is going to start the last week of February, even though it's March Madness, because I want it to end before WrestleMania. I don't want it to be like, WrestleMania is the 2nd, I think, of April, and if it's like the tournament's still going on and it ends like the 3rd, it's going to get lost in the WrestleMania shit. So end it in March, get it a little bit earlier, kind of knock that out of the way. And what all the other stuff that we talked about, drop your comments below about that as well. So the only other thing we have to do for this episode is to talk about some plugs. So Wago, anything you want to promote?
If I offended you or made you laugh today, please drop me a follow or hate mail at Stephen Wago on the Twitter. Stephen is spelt with a PH. Wago is WHEO. I'm sure Tony will put it in the description of the YouTube video. If he doesn't, I'll punch him in the dick. And that's all.
Well, I do not want to be punched in the dick, especially through a computer. I don't know how that would happen, but it would freak me the fuck out.
See?
I'd be more worried about that than the actual dick punch.
See, we need to get you on mushrooms. That way I could actually get you to believe that shit.
You'd be like, hey, I just punched you. And I'd be like, oh, man. Oh. Power suggestion. It works. For my side of things, everybody with the plugs, obviously, keep checking out everything that's coming your way from smarkoutmoment.com. If you want to get notifications of when we're posting new videos and when we have new articles up and stuff, there's a couple of different ways that you guys can get that. If you are subscribed on YouTube and you hit that bell icon, you'll get notifications that way. You can follow the Facebook and Twitter accounts. They also post on Tony Mango and A Mango Tree, because that works in for both Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anonymous. As I mentioned before, a lot of stuff coming this way, your way this week for both of those. We got Elimination Chamber predictions coming up as our main event. Our Ask Him is going to be the next thing that's going to be popping up. I might even record that later on today if I'm like still in the middle of this. And
Ask her.
Ask Him. For the Fanboys Anonymous side of things, we got Lego Batman reviews coming up, more Oscar-related things coming up over the next couple of weeks and stuff. The Rogue One pop figure contest just ended, but the WWE WrestleMania pop figure contest is still going on. So submit those different entries that you can do. There's no limit to how many times you can enter. We have, I think it was like 1,700 entries for the Star Wars one. I think we're about the same right now for the wrestling one, so who knows? You can end up winning that, and you end up getting one of those 3 different pops, depending on what you would rather have. Undertaker, or Andre the Giant, or John Cena. I'm assuming probably nobody would pick John Cena, but you never know.
Can I just get Pepsi?
Pepsi?
You said pop.
Ugh, I hate it when people call it that.
I know.
It's soda. It is not pop. Even worse is when people could just go, oh, it's soda pop. And it's like, oh, what are you from the fucking 40s? What the hell? You gotta get that doo-wop haircut and be a part of the Outsiders?
Sick freak.
Well, it's another thing to alienate you. If you are from the 50s and you like your doo-wop crap, then...
Take that with your 80s wrestling and get the fuck out of here.
Much appreciated for listening to this episode, everybody. Nonetheless, and I will see you in the Ask Him and the Elimination Chamber predictions. Not too sure when we're going to be recording that, but it'll probably either be up Thursday morning, really early, or late Wednesday night, something like that. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff coming your way. And then, of course, at the very end of the week, we're going to have Elimination Chamber itself, so that's going to be the post show for that. Stay tuned for all that crap coming your way. So that's going to be it for this episode. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.